Hey everybody, and welcome to another live episode of The Grid. My name's Scott Kelby, and joining me, as always, Matt Bliskowski.
I didn't know if I was supposed to introduce myself or if you were saying it. It got confusing
No,
there
there's
for
a
a
little pause
second.
there. I'm sorry, I feel bad.
There's a pause for dramatic effect. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm good.
Matt's good. He's good.
Just in case you're wondering.
All right. Hey, we have something very, very big we're going to start off the show with today. So we have an exclusive first look video. Now, this video has never been seen before.
Never?
It is brand new.
I just saw it myself about 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, we just both saw it just now, and it is a brand new first look at the just released on Monday, the Canon 7D Mark II. It's only, let me see, 47 seconds long.
It's a quick one.
It's a quick one, but it's we're going to go ahead and show it for you right now. Hold on, before we show it, this would be a great time for you to go to Twitter and go, here comes the first look video.
First look.
First look on the grid. Tell them where you are. Blah blah blah. I don't have time for all that. Go ahead and show the video. Here we go. First look coming at you.
Hi everybody, Scott Kelby here. We've got the first look at the brand new, just announced Canon EOS 7D Mark II. Let's check this thing out. Ooh. 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 Ooh.
Oh, man.
Okay, that was...
It's funny.
It was funny. It was funny making it. So just so you know,
was.
what we did was we put all these pillows down and stuff because we were so afraid we were going to break like the one and only.
We spent more time putting pillows down than we actually did recording the video.
Yeah, because we wanted to make sure that there was an expensive lens on it too. We didn't want the whole
Because it bounced.
thing.
It bounced. Like it
hits
almost
and
bounced
bounces,
over.
and it almost bounced like off onto the concrete. And we were kind of freaked out. So we
Yeah.
had all kinds of pillows. Well, welcome everybody. We wanted to run that little first look. It's not the first video that we've shown this week though.
No, it's not. In fact, so you had on Monday.
On Monday.
So Canon launched the 7D Mark II.
Yeah, and they came to me because it's basically a sports camera, and I'm a sports shooter, and so they came and we did the video. I launched it on my blog on Monday at 8 a.m. right after they're announced.
So there was some interesting feedback from that video.
There was 171 comments on my blog on that one.
Which is probably more than you expected for that one. So
It was more than I expected. Now, there was a lot of really, really nice comments.
there was. So I figured, because you usually do Q&As on your blog, where it's whenever there's a hot topic of war or whatnot. So you usually do a Q&A.
It was a hot topic.
We're going to do a Q&A right now.
We are. And so here's the thing. While there were really not a lot of nice comments, there was some really, really harsh, mean, horribly upset people just furious at me for releasing this list of features of the new Canon camera. I thought people would be excited to read it, and some were very excited, and some orders said, just place my order, and then others said, it's time for you to die. It was some of the harshest comments I've had in a long, long time.
Yeah.
So I was going to write a Q&A on my blog. But I thought, that's going to take me a long time. You know how long it takes me to actually write one of those Q&As?
Yeah.
So instead, Matt and I are going to do a live Q&A about the just announced Canon 7D Mark II, which is an amazing camera by all accounts. I mean, it's what I liked about it, and the reason why I was so excited about it was, basically, if you really wanted to shoot sports seriously, like I talk to a lot of people, I've taught classes on getting into sports and stuff, and I always kind of make a joke that it's really expensive. In fact, in my digital photography book, in the chapter called Shooting Sports, I actually show a suitcase full of money on the first page, and it says, the headline is, do you want to shoot sports? Better bring your checkbook. That is literally what the headline was. Because to shoot sports at the level that most people wanted, you had a couple of choices, a Canon 1DX or a Nikon D4. You're talking about $7,000, $8,000 bodies, just for the body. Forget the lenses, just for the body. And why I was so excited about this was, here's a camera that is 10 frames per second, gets you closer to the action than either one of the cameras I just mentioned.
ISO.
Yeah, good ISO performance, best I've ever
Autofocus.
seen on all the different stuff, for $1,700. That completely changes the game for sports photography. That all of a sudden lets people, where it was really, to shoot the way they wanted to was out of reach. I can't spend $8,000 on a body, but $1,700 for a camera today, that's actually a low price. It was a groundbreaking price. So I was so excited, like, I've got this news to share and people are gonna lose their mind. And some people did, and some people really did. So that's what this Q&A is about. Matt's gonna ask the questions, I'm gonna answer them, start the timer. Here we go.
All right. How long have you been shooting Canon gear? I'm trying to ask it in like.
Okay, so
Mr. Kelby.
About a year. I switched over to Canon at the beginning of last football season. So since last August, so a year and a month.
All right. So was Monday's video a review of the Canon 7D Mark II?
No, it was not. Yeah, and you actually know this question, Senator, because you were on the video with me.
Damn it.
We listed the features of the Canon. We wanted to do, Matt and my idea, and it was our idea, was to do to 10 top features.
10 of the top features of the new camera.
And then once we got through 10, I said, this seems kind of short. Can we add the last 5? And so we actually wound up doing 15 features. But we wrote it, we produced it, our guys did it. But it was a list of the features, not a review. It was just a list.
So did you compare it to any of Nikon or Sony's cameras?
I did not mention any Nikon or Sony. There's a gnat in here, which is nice.
Did you tell people they should go run out and buy it?
No, I did not.
Did you plug anything?
Yes. You know what I plugged?
What, Mr. Kelby?
B&H Photo. I said, here's a link to B&H, and here's what I said. This is where I buy all my gear, because that's where I buy all my gear. So I did. I put a link to B&H site.
So, Mr. Kelby, why didn't you talk about the Nikon D750?
Well, here's the thing, because that was the main thing people said. I can't believe you talked about this Canon, but you didn't talk about the Nikon D750. Nikon never let me know that there was going to be a D750. Here's the thing. Canon actually not only sent me the camera, gave me a long time to play with it and use it, but actually sent a tech rep from Canon to our offices in Florida who sat with me, went through all the features, taught me how to use the camera, taught me what the features were, so I could create a video for the launch. Nikon never even let me know that there was going to be a Nikon 750. You know when I learned that there was going to be a Nikon 750? When I read about it on the web.
So, Mr. Kelby, Nikon didn't contact you before the launch?
They did not.
You like how I'm calling you Mr. Kelby?
I do. I know. That's how people talk to me when they're angry.
All right. So back when you shot Nikon exclusively, did they contact you with new camera details about what was coming out?
No, they did not.
But one day you did a video on the Nikon D7100 and the new lenses that came out. You did
Yes.
it from a hockey game.
Yeah, I remember that.
Was there an outrage and all accusations about bias?
No, there was not.
Did you do a video on any Canon releases at the time?
As a matter of fact, no, I only did the release. And by the way, I got the 7100 and the lens from B&H, not from Nikon.
So you were totally biased toward Nikon.
Absolutely. I'll be the first to admit that my blog was totally biased towards Nikon, Senator.
So you are not a source of unbiased reviews.
I am never have been a source of unbiased reviews. Look, I always talk about what I'm shooting. And when I was shooting Nikon, all I talked about was Nikon. And you know what? Everybody that shot a Nikon was very, very happy about it.
They were.
But I've never, and people are saying, you're supposed to be this unbiased review. Number one, I hardly ever do a review.
Yeah.
I very, very, very rarely ever just do a review. But I don't want anybody to think that I am an unbiased. I am 100% biased. If I tell you to go buy a camera someplace, it will always, 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 always be at B&H. I buy all my stuff there. And if I was unbiased, I would say, well, you can get it here.
Here's the link for there.
I'm not that guy. I'm going to tell you, I am extremely biased. I've always been biased. I talk about what I'm shooting. When I shot Nikon, all I ever talked about was Nikon, and I wasn't selling out. There was no, oh my God, why don't you ever talk about Canon? Canon people were like this. Well, it shoots Nikon. I like it if you mention Canon. Every once in a while I would say, hey, Scott, we'd love if you mentioned Canon once in a while. But you know what? I didn't use Canon stuff, so I didn't get to. Matt?
So, Mr. Bias,
Yes.
were you paid to switch to Canon?
No, I was not paid to switch to Canon. Now, here's the interesting thing. Well, I asked the next question because I think we went over this here earlier. I was not paid to switch to Canon. Now, Canon does sponsor all kinds of stuff here at our company. We get money from Canon. You know who else we get money from? Nikon. Nikon just sponsored at Photoshop World. Nikon sponsored the pre-conference workshop. They gave away a camera. They gave away a guitar. And they gave away the guitar at their cleaning play. All the camera companies. We get money from Sony, we get money from Fuji, we get money from whoever wants to advertise, whoever wants to sponsor something. You know, we love everyone's sponsorship money. So we're like every other magazine. We don't say, you can't be in our magazine, you can, you can't. We don't do that. We love everybody.
So you tried the Canon gear, you liked it,
I did.
And then you switched.
I did.
But Canon gave you all that gear for free, right?
No.
Mr. Kelby.
No. They loaned me gear. So what they did was they loaned me gear, and they loaned me some really nice gear. They asked, hey, do you want to try out the 1DX? Do you want to try out this lens? What do you think I'm going to say?
No.
No. Think about it this way. Somebody calls you up out there and says, would you like to try out Canon's 1DX and a 400? Your answer is going to be, no thanks.
No, I'd like to buy it first.
No, I tried it first. But once I realized I was going to switch, I sold all my Nikon gear, sold all my bodies, all my lenses, and I had, over the years, plenty. I can't believe how much stuff I had. All the money from that sales went to buying similar Canon gear. So all the Canon gear I have is mine. I own it. It's paid for. I didn't get it free from from Canon. And by the way, I could do the same thing when I was shooting Nikon. When I was shooting Nikon, if I called up Nikon and said, hey, can I try out a new camera? Can I try out a new body? If they had it in stock, they would send it to me to use. I had a great relationship with Nikon. And I have nothing bad to say about Nikon. It's just, I'm getting just hammered over this thing. And here's the thing. When you asked, do I get paid to use Canon gear? I do not. I don't get paid. There are people that are paid to use Canon gear. They're called explorers of light. So they are evangelists. They're paid, right? Nikon has the same thing. Nikon has the Nikon Ambassador, where you're paid to use their gear. Now, Nikon invited me to that. Nikon asked me to be an ambassador. Nikon wanted me, and I had to pull out of the program when I realized that I was going to be shooting Canon gear too. Now, at that time, I thought I was just going to shoot some Nikon and some Canon and some Sony. I shot some Sony last year. So I thought I was going to be shooting a little of everything, but that was before I fell in love with my other gear. So am I paid by Canon to shoot their stuff? Absolutely not. I'm not in their Explorers of Light program. But let me just tell you this. If they ask me to be, I'm going to say yes. But no, at this point, I'm not paid to use their gear. But darn, I sure would accept it.
So what are you guilty of that everyone has judged you so harshly?
I am guilty of sharing the new features of a Canon camera.
So why aren't Canon users complaining?
Because Canon users are like, oh, that's great. Here's the thing. I wrote a blog post, and I want everybody that was pissed from Monday, I want you to go read this blog post. If you go to my blog and search for, this is the headline, you said something I disagree with, you must be getting paid. Literally, you must be getting paid. And what it is Canon users that come by and they see that Canon's released a new camera, they're like, ooh, I want to see it. And they watch it, and they're like, oh, this is great. And you can read comments from people that said, wow, I was hoping they were going to have this. This is better than I was expecting. I ordered it. Nikon users, they're mad. I don't know what to say. It's like, if you're not interested, just don't watch it. Don't click the yes, don't click the button. But don't be mad at me because I said, look, I shoot Canon. I'm talking about the stuff that I do. And I love this camera. The 7D Mark II, I think, is just, it's amazing. It is groundbreaking. Oh, there's the thing. You said something I disagree with. You must be getting paid.
All right. So why are people so upset with the post?
Here's what it is, just in brief. I think they're upset because I think when anybody makes a purchase, it says something about themselves. And I really think that nobody wants to be on the wrong camera, right? And if you go and read the comments that people wrote, it's like I'm taking sides in like a religious thing. They're so angry, and last night I wrote some guy wrote me this big long thing, and I could probably read it to you if I could find it. But he wrote me a private message. Oh, here, it's right here. He wrote me a private message and said, not one word about the Nikon camera that was really recently introduced. I'm tired of having Canon pushed down my throat by you. I listed the features, but in his mind, I shoved it down his throat because I did a video that was 2.5 minutes long, and I said, here are the features. And he sees it, and he says, I'm tired of this, I'm a Nikon guy, I don't have the access, I don't have access to the funds, Scott does, from paying shooters like me to shoot with Nikon and just switch to Canon. So now he's saying, you got paid to switch to Canon. And then he says, Canon makes great cameras, but let's be balanced. I am not supposed to be balanced. I've never been balanced. Why didn't this guy complain when I put up the Nikon video? Matt and I did a show, right? Called D-Town TV. Nothing but Nikon. Never mentioned Canon. That's incredibly biased. But it was okay then. Now he's mad. It's just not right. It's just not fair. I wrote him, I said, I think this is very unfair what you wrote. I said, Canon sent me a 7D Mark II to try out before it shipped. They flew a Canon rep to my office in Florida to show me all the new features and how to use it. No one from Nikon ever mentioned the D750 to me in any way whatsoever. And by the way, they still haven't. And I said, while we're talking, well, I did a post on Facebook and on my blog about the D7100. I gave him the link. You didn't have a problem with that. Where's the balance? So what it is I understand you have a different camera. That's okay. But
and you have a good camera.
Yeah, you have a fine camera. If you have a Nikon camera and you like it, they don't come to your house. I'm not coming to your house and taking your camera out of your hands. It didn't become obsolete because I switched to Canon, but this is what I'm shooting now. And the reason why I switched to Canon was Canon didn't pay me to do it. I would have accepted it. Canon didn't pay me to do it. When I shot my first game and I used the 1DX, that was it. I came back and said, that's it, I'm done. I never really expected to switch. In fact, when Canon was talking about sponsoring some stuff, I sat there and told them, I would love to have you guys as a sponsor. We would love to do work with you. We would love to have you sponsor my tour. Just so you know, I'm not switching cameras. And they were like, we understand. And they asked for one thing. They said, we want one thing. Just show our stuff too. You only mention Nikon gear. You only ever mention it. Just would you mention once in a while, like if you go, hey,
hold up a lens.
He goes, hey, if you have a Nikon 70-200, could you also go, and Canon makes one too. That was the extent of our agreement. And I said, okay, but I am not switching, and you understand that? Everybody in the room understood there was no way I was switching to Canon. They all agreed. They all understood. They said, we understand. You shoot Sony too. You shoot this. It's okay. I switched to Canon because I liked it better. That's it. But apparently I'm not allowed to switch brands. You still shoot a Nikon 810?
Yeah.
So RC, everybody, they're like, oh, you switched everybody over. Everybody shoots different stuff. You shoot whatever camera you like the best.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to, because I didn't have time to go and answer. I was in Seattle the whole day, but I did go back and answer some people back. One guy was so mean, I swear all I wrote was, you're mean. That was it. His thing was this long about how bad I am, what a bad person I am. I was sold to the highest bidder, blah, blah. 2 words, you're mean, bye. Hey, okay, now let's set all that aside. Ready?
Break time.
We're very, very excited today. We have a very special guest coming up after the break. Don't go away, don't move, don't breathe, don't make a sound. We will be right back live here on The Grid.
70 years ago, they were fighting for our freedom, and today their role is to cause people to remember that. That's rewarding work and a worthy cause, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
This is a piece of history. You're a caretaker of this airplane, whether you own it or whether you fly it. You know, it's not something that I get to go out and do what I want to do with it, because it belongs to our country. It belongs to our country's history.
You've got these amazing legends themselves, the pilots who put their love and soul in these planes, maintain them, fly them.
You know, you're not just flying an airplane, you're flying history. And you're flying history that bought our freedom.
That's one of the things that I enjoy most about the Flying Legends Museum, is they're preserving these wonderful treasures. They're honoring the men and women who flew these aircraft and the folks who flew them in combat and risked their lives to protect our country.
You know, as a youngster, I thought flying the airplane was everything. Being associated with that beautiful, shiny airplane was going to be the thing. And as I went to air shows, I realized it wasn't the airplanes, it was the guys, the veterans that came to those airplanes.
It's so important for me to capture these shots, to preserve this history. So much of it's now fading with the men and women who lived it. these planes, their battles, their times, their triumphs, their tragedies, and all what it did for this country that, you know, pretty honored to be privileged to, hard to talk about.
Hey everybody, we are back and we are very excited to have with us Matt Kliskowski. Well, not that excited to have Matt, but we are excited to have Maggie Steber with us here. So Maggie, you shoot for like some very impressive people, National Geographic?
Yes.
That's crazy. Now, Maggie, you don't even realize this, but I just signed a deal with National Geographic.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I get 12 issues a year, and it's only like $19.95, and I also get the digital version, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, that is very
And a
good.
poster.
I subscribe to the magazine, and I pay $36. So
You gotta get,
Yeah.
They send emails that give you deals. Watch your
Right.
email. In fact, I'll send you the one I used to sign up.
I don't mind supporting them. You know, it sort of comes back to me.
Well, thank you for so much for being here. Now, you're here as part of our Trailblazers, women who've
Yes.
trailblazed in photography. And
Yes.
so, and you were with Mia. So have you done your interview yet?
Yes, we had a lovely interview. Thank
She's
you.
really good, isn't she?
She's very good.
Mia McCormick is just like, it's like being on, like when Barbara Walters was at the height of being Barbara Walters, that's like Mia.
Yes, but you can understand Mia a little better.
Yes, because she
She's
doesn't use
awesome.
the word wah-wah.
Wah-wah.
But anyway, so, you know, we want to hear all about what it's like shooting, but people on our show are very interested, apparently, in gear. So we were talking just a moment ago. So what's your main camera?
Well, I'm a Leica user. I'm a longtime Leica user from almost
the
the
show.
very...
That's it. I'm sorry.
the show.
Leica is one company that does not sponsor, so we...
Leica does not sponsor me. They don't pay me to use their cameras. I pay for my cameras. They sometimes loan me gear.
Right, me too. How about you?
A special lens or something. But I love all the other cameras, and there's lots of great cameras, and I even use Holgas, which is a little plastic camera.
yeah,
so
plastic, yeah.
you know, to me, all of these wonderful cameras do all kinds of things, but ultimately, it's the photograph, right?
Of course.
So.
But I think using a Leica is cheating. Here's why. Because if you get someone who really knows how to use a Leica, and obviously you've been shooting Leica for years, because they're a little fussy to shoot with in the whole focusing thing, but if you get it down, there is something magical about the image that a Leica creates. It is different.
It is different.
Just like a medium format has its own like signature. A medium format camera, you can look at it and something's different.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of times people will say, I want to shoot a medium format because I want to make very, very large prints or I need a very, very large negative. But I want to shoot medium format because I like its signature. That's why I would want to shoot it. The Leica is the same way. The Leica has a very special something, a certain je ne sais quoi.
You know what I like about it, especially my little rangefinders? I feel like they're my little partners in crime. And even when I'm just kind of wandering around and looking for something and I'm all by myself, I don't ever feel alone. I feel like they're my little buddy. And I don't know if that's just me who feels that way, but I feel an intimacy with the camera. And so I love them. But I just think all of these cameras are amazing. I mean, just imagine if we were only using a pinhole camera with an oatmeal box. Even that makes some pretty interesting things.
Sure.
But it's exciting. I'm waiting for the invention of the operation where you have the camera put in your eye and you just
almost
wait
there.
to take a picture.
It's almost there.
I know, it's kind of scary. But anyway.
But
You
anyway,
get Google Glass, but
Yeah.
didn't look silly.
Well, I kind of already look silly, so it wouldn't bother
I
me
don't
too much.
think-
Right?
so I'm going to start at the beginning, because can I tell you that almost every photographer that you talk to, the pinnacle of photography is National Geographic. It is I think anybody would say, and I've talked to you, if you talk to a landscape photographer or you talk to a wildlife photographer and you tell anyone you're that, the first question they ask is, have you ever been to National Geographic? It's like the stamp. It's like when I tell somebody I shoot sports and they go, have you ever shot the Super Bowl? I'm always like, I've gotten close twice, but I've never gotten there. And it's one of those
been to the
things.
Super Bowl.
I was at the Super Bowl twice in the stands. Does that count? No. But shooting for National Geographic, it's like winning an Oscar. They can never take it away from you. It's like you've won it and you've reached that pinnacle. And so, how in the world first did you get into National Geographic? I mean, I've looked at your work. I went to your website earlier, and you have amazing work.
Thank you.
It's not about the work, because you have National Geographic quality work, but I'd love to just hear the story. So how did you wind up, so one day I knocked on their doors and...
Well, actually, this is for anybody. This is how you get your foot in the door. And that is that you have to work on, the best way to get in is to work on a long-term project. It doesn't even have to necessarily be the sorts of things that the Geographic does, although if you're paying attention, the National Geographic has really broadened its range of subjects and photographic styles. And I think that's really important because it keeps them more pertinent, because sometimes it felt a little bit like it was the same thing over and over again. But now they've really opened up, and I think they're doing some very conceptual work. And so it's not so much what you're working on. I mean, I would say this: you're not going to take a long-term project on photographing flowers to the Geographic. But if you're working on a long-term project on photographing flowers that attract a certain kind of honeybee that is extinct, that starts to be something, because it not only has natural history, but it's scientific. And it's actually, because we're losing the honeybees, which means we're next, by the way, then that starts to say something. But the way I got my foot in the door was that I had been working in Haiti for about 4 or 5 years. And so I felt like at that point I had a body of work that I could start to show. And so I went and I showed the work, and they loved it. But I have to tell you, it took me 5 or 6 visits over a period of time to show them how my work was growing before they gave me my first assignment, and it was not on Haiti. it was on Sierra Leone. And that story never got published because they loved the work I did, but the writer had a nervous breakdown, not my fault.
Come on.
No, it wasn't.
Was you.
No. He was under a lot of pressure from other things. And then they gave me an assignment on Miami, which is where I live now, but I didn't then. And so, anyway, and so little by little, I was getting assignments, and I've managed to work in 64 countries, and largely because of the Geographic. So they've been really great to me. I'm not a staff photographer. They really only have 2 or 3 staff photographers, but they have many, many contributors and people who work for them freelancing. Right.
So what's it like to I imagine, especially that first project, you put a lot of your heart and soul into it. What's it like when you do a project like that and then you don't see it come through?
Yeah, were you crushed?
No, I wasn't, because I had such a remarkable experience. It was about Sierra Leone, but one of the aspects of the story was about these people on the Sea Islands, which are off the coast of South Carolina, which are direct descendants of people from Sierra Leone. And they had been invited by the president of Sierra Leone to come back and visit the land of their ancestors. And in the harbor of Freetown, the capital, was this little island where all of the enslaved Africans were kept before they were put on the boats to cross the ocean. And so one day, all of the people went to the island, and no other press was allowed but me, because I was traveling with them. And it was extremely emotional. People were weeping, and it was beautiful and very sad, and so at the same time very uplifting and spiritual.
So you still got to experience it.
Yes, and it was an amazing thing. So, and then I sent those people pictures. So even though the story didn't get published, they loved the story, and that's what you want them to do too. If you do a good job, then you know you're going to get another story. And so they've been very generous with me over the years and given me some exceptional stories to do, which I really love, and a broad range of things, from cultural stories to country stories to science. I love science, but I humanize science. I don't add a lot of colored filters and, you know, things like that. Because I think it's important for people to understand science.
You haven't done that shot where the guy's holding up the lab, the test tube, and there's a blue gel behind it? You haven't? That's the classic.
I haven't done it for National Geographic, but I have to admit I've done it for another science magazine.
Hey, we're getting a bunch of questions coming in. Matt, go ahead, and then I want to get to some of these.
Yeah, so Jock asks, Maggie, what was the scariest assignment for National Geographic?
Well,
NG.
yeah, I wouldn't say they're all scary in the sense that you're just the pressure is enormous, because I think when you look at the stories in the magazine, it looks like we're all just going around going click, 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 click. But in fact, you do an enormous amount of research. You have to call people. You have to have a plan, a shooting plan. You have to know exactly what you're going out to do, and then every night you lose sleep because you know maybe you didn't take a good picture that day. So I would say in that sense they're really scary, all of them, but we lead a very privileged life in getting to enter so many people's lives. But I did do a story on the history of the African slave trade, which was one of my favorite stories. And I was with this guide one time who tried to get me to go into a cave with him. And I said, well, you know, I can't take any pictures in caves because I don't have the lighting gear. And anyway, he got more and more and more and more and more upset at me, and thought that I didn't trust him. And he really got very upset. And I just said, look, I'm not going into the cave, so get over it. And I just left. But later when I thought about it, I thought, I'm so glad I was careful.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Oh, no, you don't.
And I had a lot of gear, and then I'm a woman, and I'm pretty strong, but you never know.
No, you did the right thing.
Yeah, but anyway, that was the scariest thing, perhaps. Haiti, working in Haiti has been much more dangerous and scary, and that's not something I've done for the Geographic.
Yeah. How? So Paul asked, what was one of the most emotional projects you've done? And
for the Geographic?
Just after hearing the first one, I mean.
Well, in the last few years, I did a story on memory, and how do you photograph memory? That's always a challenge, right? These very ephemeral ideas, and you can't quite touch it or put your hands on it. But it was particularly poignant and emotional for me because my mother was experiencing dementia at the same time, and so I was photographing her as well. And in fact, the magazine was very sweet because at the end of the story, I did a little sidebar, and I was able to write an homage to my mother, and I had this beautiful picture. And at the same time, the editor of the magazine, Chris Johns, his father was also going through memory loss, and so we had this lovely sort of bookend for the story where he wrote about his father losing his memory, and I wrote about my mother. And so even though it was a scientific story, we had a chance to humanize it, and I would say that was the most emotional thing for me.
So, and I'd say the comments are like skewing, like they're going all over the place. They want to know the scariest, the most emotional. John Swartz, hi John, wanted to know what was the most satisfying project you did, personally or professionally.
For the Nat Geo?
Yeah.
Well, I really loved the history of the African slave trade, to be honest, because I got to travel all over Africa and photograph what that was like, and then I came to the New World and photographed those aspects of culture that the enslaved Africans brought with them and how it ameliorated in many ways our own cultures. And I loved that because it was looking at a very tragic part of history, but there were some lovely things that came out of it somehow.
So I was going to ask one more because Eddie, I think.
But before we do, I just want to mention, you probably haven't seen this show a whole bunch, and that's okay. We don't use big words on this show.
Oh.
We use like you said.
Ameliorate?
That's a really good word. I have no idea what it means.
Make something better.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm like, we're simple folk here.
Well,
we subscribe.
okay.
We don't shoot for National Geographic. We subscribe to National Geographic.
And
if
we
you start
love
using
you for
big
that.
words, Matt and I, we're
Okay.
out.
All right. Don't anybody cancel their subscription because I said ameliorate, please.
I've been doing a 2-year, you know, you talk about long projects. I've been doing a 2-year project of my own on, Matt has a bunion that won't heal. And so every few months I go in there and we look at it, we talk to people that have looked at it and doctors and they're like, yeah, this thing's nasty, it won't go away. I've talked to the pharmacy and I'm going to present it. Which one do you want to, you know what I want to, John, the guy just named John has a really, not John, Bo, where's Bo? Bo says, I think this was true at one time. I don't think it's true anymore, but I have no idea. I'm going to let you answer this. Bo says, is it true that National Geographic gives you a pile of money and says, go take pictures of this topic?
No, it's not true.
It's not true? Come on.
No, I will
Was
say
it ever
this.
true?
No, you always have to have had a game plan, and you worked with the picture editor, and you developed a sort of, it's not a shooting script, but you have to know exactly what is important about the story and what you need to photograph, but there was a lot more time for serendipity. Okay.
No, I know that one. I saw there was a movie called Serendipity.
I like
right?
her.
Remember Serendipity?
I like her.
That was a good movie. Wasn't Sandra Bullock in that?
So it means you have to have a movie with you.
It means that you get to wander around and just by chance you discover things. And that's where sometimes the best pictures came from. But now, for many, many reasons, economic reasons, we don't have those 6-month assignments where we can not only do exactly what we need to do to make the points of the story, but also sort of wonder about, although we still do that.
It's just shorter.
It's just shorter.
Yeah, how long is your average assignment, do you think?
Nowadays, it really depends on what it is. Some assignments are quite long still, depending on the subject, and some are 6 weeks, which is still a long time. Some are 4 weeks.
But you don't go all around Africa in like 4 days. You've got that takes time.
Yes, and there are some people who are considered explorers. Paul Nicklin is an amazing natural history photographer, natural, life, wildlife, and especially underwater, but also just in nature. And he had an assignment to go, which he pitched, to go find the spirit bear. Now, the spirit bear is a very rare bear, and in fact, people don't even really know if he exists. And so poor Paul was out in a tent in the middle of the woods, and he was hunting every day with a camera to find this spirit bear who might not even have existed. And he wept, and he tore his hair, and he kept a diary, and it was just when he was about to give up, one day the spirit bear appeared. And he had the most beautiful pictures. It was as though he had to earn the right to see the spirit bear. And I know that sounds kind of like, what is she on?
No, but in nature, that's very common for like apes and things to reach a certain point where,
yes.
Okay,
yes.
now I'll let you in.
Yeah.
Yes, and he took extraordinary, beautiful pictures of this bear, who also sat and posed for him. And it's an amazing story.
meant to be.
It was meant to be, but he's also the sort of person that is so gentle and in tune with nature. He's had some great adventures underwater too. He's really, his work is
You're
worth
really
looking
describing
at.
Brad Moore there. In tune with nature. That's Brad.
So, because I don't want to. So many of the questions also like go into so many of those topics, but also like so much of this are things that you cover with Mia in the interview as well. So I don't want to go into there. But so John asked the question, when he has your most satisfying project, and he said personally or professionally. And I know we talked about this a little bit before, but you've got a lot of strong feelings on personal projects.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people out there, I venture to say a lot of people watching are probably not going to shoot for Nat Geo, but the personal project thoughts that you had, I think everybody out there could use.
Well, here's two things. The first one is, if you ever do an interview or get to show your work to National Geographic, the last thing you ever want to say is that you want to work for the magazine because you like to travel. Kiss of death. Don't do it. All right, because it's not just about traveling. It's really about research and learning about things. So that's one just little piece of advice for all of you who want to work for them. But the other thing is this. When you work on a personal project, I've been a picture editor as well. So when you work on a personal project, here's what an editor sees in it. First of all, you have to really devote the time. It gives you a chance to take many different kinds of pictures. It gives you the opportunity to show how you approach people, how you approach a subject, how dedicated you are to something, how you can make different kinds of pictures. And as an editor, I look at the pictures and I see a lot about who you are. And who you are and how you deal with people and how you stick to something is just as important as the kinds of pictures you take. And, you know, what is a personal project? Well, there's this young woman, Diana Marcosian, who's a young photographer who had never met her father. And so he was in Armenia. So she went and she decided to find her father. And she found him, and so she went to live with him for 3 months, and she photographed him and this experience of getting to know her father. Now, it's beautiful work, and it's all in black and white, and it's, you know, it's dark and it's light because there's so many missing things. I grew up without a father, too, and I really related to that, and just the scariness or the fear of trying to find someone and what if they don't want you and all of these things. But the work is extraordinary, and she's gotten a lot of attention because of it. Very personal project. But it doesn't have to be even that sort of personal thing. Like, I've worked in Haiti for over 30 years. That's my personal project, you know. That's all right.
It happens every time.
Of course. And so I just keep going back, and I keep going back, and every time I go back, I get better pictures and different pictures, and I work on various facets of Haitian culture, and I've read a lot, and I've studied a lot. I know about the history, I know about the literature, the culture, the art, but then I go in like a little baby, as though I know nothing. A blank piece of paper, and then I let the Haitians teach me. And that's how you do your best work, when you don't go in like you know everything, because you're gonna miss a lot. But, you know, I had a student come in for a weekend workshop once where we do projects, editing. This was a grandmother, and she had been photographing her grandkids. And I thought, oh my, she came in with 2 huge boxes, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's this? And by the end of the class, we had put together this extraordinary set of pictures because she was actually a very good photographer, and the pictures were terribly intimate. And she had the best work in the class, and everybody else was a young, you know, photographers doing all kinds of hot stuff.
Yeah.
So you never know, but.
Would you, I mean, do you mind, what cross-up, what'd you do with her? Like, how do you know, because you're looking at it at first, and you're like, all right, this is grandma with a lot of kid pictures.
Well, I asked her what she wanted to do with the work, and she said, really, I just wanted to organize it. And I said, well, why don't you now make a little book for the family? It's a nice little Christmas gift, or, you know, and these pictures will mean something to your family for years to come. But everybody comes with a different purpose, you know. So what is your purpose in doing a project? For example, it could be a portrait series. It could just be a series of portraits that's like 40 portraits, and maybe you discover a certain style in which you can work. Maybe you go to places where they were the scenes of great historical moments that were tragedies in American history, let's say, and you find a way to photograph those things. Maybe it's at the time of day, or I don't know. You know, everybody has an idea about what's interesting. A lot of people go to cover war, all right? So I've covered a war too, and working in Haiti is sometimes like covering a war, but you have to really know a lot before you go to do that sort of thing. And then what is your purpose? What are you gonna do that hasn't been done before? So, for example, in the last few years, a lot of people photographed with the iPhone. This was an amazing thing, you know? And the reason, Damon Winter, I'm name dropping a lot, but this is so people could look at this work. Damon Winter, a New York Times photographer, was embedded with an American company. And he noticed every time he lifted his big camera, I don't know what he shot, he noticed that it changed the whole scene. But then he noticed all of the soldiers had iPhones. And so he just started shooting with his iPhone. And so he covered this whole period of embedding with the iPhone, and the pictures are wonderful. And they were much more intimate.
It does. A big camera intimidates people.
Yeah, when you bring up the
Right.
big camera, people start to pose and they start
Right.
to act and they go, okay, I'm on stage.
Right.
Hey, I hate to interrupt, but it was my understanding that you have to catch a flight.
I have to catch a flight.
And you have to catch it like 2 minutes ago, right? So we're going to take a short break, but before we do, there's more questions that you haven't had a chance to answer. So what we'll do is we'll make up answers
Okay.
while you're gone, and we'll answer them as if we were you, but don't know the real answers. But thank you so much for taking the time,
Oh,
Maggie. Thanks
thank
very
you.
much. That was
It's
great.
such a pleasure.
Yeah, I wish we could have done a whole lot more.
Thank you, Matt.
We could just go on and on and on. And where can people go learn more about you?
Well, I have a website, MaggieSteber.com. I also am on Facebook, and I just joined Instagram.
Hey!
Yes, and I have a little project on there right now. If you Google me, I have another website called audacityofbeauty.com, and that is...
Yeah, I was there today.
Right, and that is all my work on Haiti, and it's a lovely website, and it has a video that's far too long. And
Are you documenting any of your projects as you go along on any, like on Facebook or anything like that? Do you get a chance to kind of show?
I show some things, but I use Facebook and Instagram for different purposes. Instagram, I want to make little Instagram projects, but and Facebook, sometimes I like to do themes on Facebook, and I don't post my own work very often, but I'll say, okay, so today is Natural History Day, so I'll post a lot of work by different photographers who I just think are great. Or I'll say today is Young Photographer Day, and I'll post work by young photographers that I think is great. Or, things like that, because it's much more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, it's much more fun. And I think it's exciting. It's a nice, more interesting way for me to use Facebook. And then if you go to mediastorm.org, they have a piece called Rite of Passage that I did on my mother and her dementia that you can watch. So there's a lot. Just Google me, and I'm not too
And follow her
ticklish.
on Facebook and Instagram. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Maggie.
Thank you so
Safe travels
much.
to you. We
Thank
will
you.
tell all you guys when Maggie's interview comes
Yeah.
live as part of our Trailblazers thing, which is the brainchild of Mia McCormick, and Mia has done a wonderful job with it. And as you can see, she's brought in some amazing photographers to introduce you to their work and get inside their heads.
Thank you very much.
She's very good. Thanks, Maggie.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away. We're live here on The Grid. The camera
Looking
pans
for a
up.
better way to learn Lightroom? At KelbyOne, you'll be learning from people who literally wrote the book on Lightroom, including best-selling author Scott Kelby and Lightroom instructor Matt Kluskowski. Scott and Matt lead a team of some of the best-known names in the Lightroom education field, who've come together to create the most comprehensive Lightroom training anywhere. You'll have unlimited access to full-length online classes that cover everything you need to know about how to use Lightroom like a pro, from start to finish. But these in-depth online classes are just the beginning. As a member, you'll learn even more about Lightroom from our monthly print magazine, Photoshop User, which has an entire section dedicated just to Lightroom users. Also, you get access to our Lightroom Help Desk, where you get private, one-on-one answers to your Lightroom questions, including troubleshooting, concepts, you name it. For years now, the creative world has turned to us as the resource for learning Lightroom, and now you can too, whether you're in Lightroom Pro or a brand new user. This is a training program that grows right along with you every step of the way, and is exclusively here at KelbyOne.
Hey, we're back. Scott with Matt. Man, she was great.
She was awesome, and so I got to spend some time talking with her before the show, and of course you don't have enough time to do everything you want. But one of the things that stuck with me is, so she teaches a lot of workshops too, and she's essentially teaching people to take her job. But she's got such a great outlook on it. Like, because I said to her, I'm like, you're kind of like, what the information that you're giving them is information on how to go to Nat Geo and get these assignments, or
Well,
go
she
to other
just did
places.
that. She did that here.
And she's like, you know what? She's like, I like to help people. I like to show other people how great people are. And she's like, so if I get to get this person and land them a job, she's like, I'm totally up for it. And so she's really, really nice. And check out our workshops. I assume they're going to be posted on her website, but they sounded really cool.
Yeah, we'll share them too. But wow, she was just wonderful.
All right, so there's still a couple questions left here. So John asked, how do strangers/subjects react when they learn you, Scott, are on assignment from National Geographic?
Well, they freak out. They totally freak out, and a lot of times they tear their clothing, they'll strip down nude, stuff like that.
All right. Ben asks, so what's a brief synopsis of your typical workflow?
I take a picture, maybe two, I send them in, and then I go to the pool and have a couple of cocktails.
Yeah. And Eddie asks, on average, for a story, how many photos make it into the magazine versus the amount you actually shoot?
I usually shoot about 23 photos. All 23 make it in the magazine.
Poor Eddie.
Poor,
that's a good question.
I wanted Eddie's. Well, John's was good too. They were really, honestly, all three of those questions were really great.
I can't answer for her, but if I were to say Eddie, I would say there's probably a big skew between how many are shot.
Well, I remember Joe McNally.
And
Brad might be able to help me this because Brad's heard this story too about Joe. That Joe I think it was Joe that said what? They submit 20,000 images for the spread, which contained. Do you remember that exact stat? Brad doesn't remember, but I remember. Joe and I were doing a workshop together, and this is a number of years. It was the first time I met Joe, and why it stuck out was somebody asked that question that Eddie asked, and he said, "Well, for a typical thing, we'll shoot 20,000 images," and we're like, "Well, how many make it into the magazine?" He's like, 41.
Yeah.
And we were like, now this was back in the film days.
So imagine what it is now.
The only people that could afford for you to take 20,000 was the National Geographic.
Yeah. So I don't have to assume, if you're going somewhere for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 months, I have to assume you're taking a lot of photos.
Well, also, she really, I thought, did a good job. Like when she said the pressure of performing. So let's just say that this isn't going to happen, but Matt or I got an assignment for National Geographic. That would be the most stressful thing that ever happened to me.
Oh yeah.
I would be freaked out on a level that,
because you can't, if you were to frame it in our jobs, it's like nobody could come in tomorrow and say, Scott or Matt, you've got to do a class on this. And we would freak out and say like, oh my God.
Okay,
I'll get it done.
I'm not that familiar with it. I'll find out.
Yeah, I'll get it done.
Yeah.
But something like that, when there is so much behind it, and you're not, because I would think one of the hardest parts is you're not just tied to Nat Geo and the money that's being spent on that, but if you shoot those types of things, you're tied into the story. You didn't get to go out there for that story because you didn't care about that. You didn't care about the people. You didn't care about the story. So you not only, I would guess, have to want to do a good job for Nat Geo. You want to do a good job for whatever the story is, and you'd probably
I guess
almost feel worse.
The responsibility and all. But you know what? I can tell you what. Let's just say that the phone rings tomorrow and it's National Geographic. They say, Scott, we want you to go to blank, blank, blank and cover this, that. First thing, I would never tell a soul. I wouldn't tell you. I wouldn't tell Brad unless Brad had to go with me. I wouldn't tell anybody because, if I didn't come through, if I did the images and they looked at them and they said, yeah, this really isn't up to snuff, it would be Could you imagine having to go, yeah, remember when I said I was shooting for the last 2 months for National Geographic? Yeah, they didn't like the pictures. It didn't work out. That would be like it would be just horrible. So that would be the biggest secret I ever kept was that I was shooting. Now, once if it did okay and all, then I would come into the show every week wearing the big yellow border. I'd be wearing National Geographic shirts. I'd be going, hey, have you seen the latest issue? I'd be sending out free copies. We would probably change this to The Grid featuring National Geographic photographer Scott Kelby. It would be everywhere. So when she was talking about the pressure, I knew that was the moment where I really never thought, I'm like, oh man, you think you want to do that until you have the pressure of having to come through at National Geographic level. That's basically being some guy, he's in college and all of a sudden they go, okay, you're going to go to the Olympics. And you're like, well, are my times good enough? Oh, they'll be fine. You'll be like,
you'll do good.
The pressure has to be so, anyway. But she was wonderful. She was a wonderful guest.
All right, so we got a photo walk coming up.
We do. We have a big mega worldwide photo walk coming up on when?
October 11th?
Saturday. So come and join us. I'm going to be a host. Look at that. We have 865 walks already around the world. 11,000 people already signed up to walk. And you can just go to worldwidephodowalk.com or go directly to KelbyOne.com/photowalk.
Where are you doing your walk?
I'm doing my walk in London, England.
And you're also doing a seminar out there, right?
I'm doing a seminar the day before. Thank you for mentioning that, Matt. I am doing a seminar the day before. I'm doing a seminar in swinging London, baby. Come on out. Got hundreds of people already signed up. Would love for you to come out and spend the day with us.
And you're walking in London the next day.
And I'm walking in London the next day. It's a beautiful walk.
I should come join you. Will Glenn Lewis be there?
Actually, I'm going to do my walk in the morning, and then I'm taking a train with my buddy Dave Clayton up to Bath to do Glenn's walk in Bath.
Nice.
You know why we're doing it in Bath? Because Glenn needs a bath.
He does.
Hey, by the way, happy birthday to Glenn Lewis. His birthday was yesterday?
I think so.
Or maybe today.
Happy belated
It was yesterday.
birthday.
No, I said him a happy birthday yesterday, but it's...
I didn't.
Hey, we're going to take a short
I'm a bad
break.
friend.
We got some giveaways that we haven't talked about yet, and we have some other cool things. So stick around and come back after the break right here, live on the grid. That's Matt right there. Or Mark.
What kind of a person could stand shoulder to shoulder with soldiers on enemy soil and reach for a camera when they reach for a gun? What kind of a person can hold a camera to their eye and press the shutter button in a place where violence and crime is so rampant, each frame they take could be their last? Why would anyone choose to spend 4 years in the Scandinavian tundra just to tell a photographic story that's never been told before? Danger, extreme conditions, and tough issues might be enough to scare off most photographers. Now, meet the unstoppable women who run in when others run away, who press on despite overwhelming odds, whose images tell amazing stories. In a brand new series you'll see only here on KelbyOne, these ladies share their stories of dedication, loss, and how they faced fear head on, camera at the ready. These are trailblazers, powerful women of photography. It's a series you don't want to miss right here on KelbyOne.
MPix Pro, the full-service online photography lab, helping you grow your business with pro-quality photo products and stellar services. Get started at mpixpro.com.
Hey everybody, we are back live on the grid. Got a couple things to kind of, what was that? I didn't get to see it.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. We got a couple things to finish up. First off, Warbirds, Moose Peterson.
Yeah, we did the live preview on Friday night, and I don't know if we've ever done anything that got that much simultaneous love from the live viewing audience as we did. So we Moose Peterson did this. It's kind of documentary, kind of movie. It's not really a training class at all. It really is more of a historical documentary, beautifully done by our team. And we've been playing the trailer for a few weeks. We invited everybody to come watch it. It was open to the public.
Kind of like a movie.
Yeah, kind of like a movie on Friday night. And it just went over so amazingly well. Moose was live in the studio, answered questions, and who was a wealth of information, of course. And now it is available only on KelbyOne. So it was produced by our team for KelbyOne, but we thought it turned out so good we wanted to share it with everybody. But now it's inside the Kelby Vault. So if you go, if you are a KelbyOne subscriber, go watch Aviation Photography, Warbirds, and the Men Who Flew Them with Moose Peterson. It was Moose's brainchild, and man, it's a stunning class. If you have no interest in photography at all, you will love it.
Yeah.
If you have an interest in aviation photography, you will lose your mind. So it's really, really great. So that was big.
Cool. Big congratulations to Moose. Also, one of the classes come up is Wacom Tablets for Photographers with Wes Maggio from Wacom.
Wes is really good.
Wes is awesome. And you know, I mean, that class came directly from people asking for it. It's just people who get their tablets love them, and they want to know all the different ways they can use them. So we got Wes in here to do it. And then last week, we got a lot of really neat classes.
Yeah, we do.
These last few weeks here. Last week, Russell Brown and Aaron Grimes, who is son of Joel Grimes.
Joel Grimes' son.
Did aerial videography with quadcopters, and then they also did aerial photography and post-processing. Because it's not just, the videography class is great, but a lot of people are taking stills with them, and Russell's got some pretty neat stuff to show you how to kind of work with a lot of different photos from it.
Yeah.
So
hey,
check those out.
I got a real quick. We have some Photoshop stuff too, by the way. Pete Collins did a whole crash course on cloning and healing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we always have tons of Photoshop.
And you know what? They're I can tell you, keep an eye out because Pete and Corey are working on like a whole new list of classes, and it's like we sat in a meeting about a month ago to kind of go over it, and so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, we have a lot of Photoshop classes, like.
Yeah, we do.
What are they going to bring to the table? And dude, Pete and Corey just like brought to they brought, I'm like, oh my God, that's a great, yeah. I'm just like, do it. So,
Yeah. Lots of check marks.
We'll have a lot of stuff going on.
Hey, this is unrelated to this, but it's one of our buddies. So Joe McNally, who you will know, I don't have to tell you who Joe is, has a showing he's like a one-man show at the Monroe Gallery in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which I've been to that gallery, saw Joe's work there, beautiful stuff. And I was just there a few months ago with Moose and his wife Sharon. We went to the gallery where Joe's work is, and he's just got amazing stuff. But over my blog today, RC wrote a story about it, and so if you get a chance to go, it'll be quite an amazing showing. It's from October 3rd to November 23rd, and there's a great story on the blog today that RC. So anyway, it's his first solo show. So it's his first.
Awesome.
Go there, be there. If you've ever wanted to go to Santa Fe, man, you got a great reason.
And I was gonna say, when's the balloon festival? It'd be hard to look up right now, but if you could tie a trip in and kind of like you could get a whole lot of stuff done.
But if you want more information, go to my blog today. There's a direct link there, right, kind of up towards the front. It's the Monroe Gallery in Santa Fe, New Mexico, October 3rd. But you would probably want to go there like for the opening and be there with Joe and everybody. And so if I wasn't someplace else, I would be there. I think RC's going out there.
RC is going out there for it.
So anyway, lots of fun stuff. Yay, hey.
All right.
And now
giveaways.
It's time for the giveaway.
We have from Oz to Kansas.
Boom.
Vincent
Versace.
By Vincent Versace from Oz to Kansas. Almost every black and white conversion technique known to
man. I love that cover picture. I hate all of Vincent's work, but I love that. No, I'm totally kidding. I love that cover photo.
I'm with you. And then we also have Peter Reed Miller on sports photography. So,
hey, by the way, that is one of the best books, if not the best book ever written on sports photography. His book is great. Bill Frakes' book. Those two books are, if you wanted to buy some books by Frakes' book, which I think was called Snapshots to Great Shots, and Peter Reed Miller's. Those are two amazing books from two amazing photographers, both of who shot for Sports Illustrated, which is the National Geographic of sports.
Cool. All right, to win those, just go to KelbyOne.com/webcasts/contests. Select the show, which would be the grid. Put all your information in there. Most importantly, make sure you put a comment on which one that you want to win.
Hey, I'm going to throw in two more prizes.
Ooh.
May I?
Seminars?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Houston. We're going to throw in 3. I'm going to be in Houston here shortly. I'll tell you when. I'm going to be in Houston, Texas. You know where that is, right? I'm going to be in Houston, Texas. We got a nice fast internet here, don't we? That was pretty quick. Going to be in Houston. That's Arlington. Houston where is Houston? Oh, there's Houston on September 26th, Friday.
That's clicking in California.
Is that like next Friday? No, it wasn't. There's many. We're all over Texas. All right, we're going to be in Houston. Matt's going to be in Livonia with his Lightroom tour. Livonia. And hey, Ken E. just wrote in that the Balloon Fiesta, the Santa Fe Balloon Fiesta, is from the 1st through the 2nd week of October. So McNally's opening will coincide with that.
See, you could do a whole bunch. You could get to the opening and
you've done the Balloon Fiesta, though.
I have.
All right.
It's like all I can explain. Like so, I've been to a Balloon Fiesta in New Jersey before.
I went to one in like Barcelona,
which was fun. But when you go to the Albuquerque Balloon Festival.
Yes, in Albuquerque, right?
The ascension, which happens in morning at sunrise, it's just hundreds of them, and they happen immediately. So it's like you're standing there, nothing's going on. People are blowing up balloons, and then next thing you know, there's 100 in the air. And it's like you see all these cool ones, and you're running around like a mad person. You really have to be there for a few days because it takes you a day to realize I just missed every shot that I wanted to get. because they're all up in the air. So you have to be able to go back again because you will miss every shot you wanted to get the first time.
All right, so
anyway,
go catch Joe's opening. Go to the balloon. Now Albuquerque is, I think, an hour from Santa
far.
Fe. So, and it's an easy drive, very easy drive. You can drink and stuff while you're driving. It's no problem. Just kidding.
There's
Don't
a Jack
do
in the
that.
Box on the
That's
way.
bad.
All right.
There is a Jack in the Box, too.
Oh, definitely. All right, so you're going to be in, off topic.
I'm in
You're
Houston,
I'm in
and
Livonia.
I'm going to Charlotte now, I understand. I'm going to be in Charlotte on October 17th, or what I like to call Rocktober. And then I'm someplace else in Orlando, Florida on October 1st.
And I'll be in Colorado Springs on October 22nd.
Colorado Springs. Hey, dude, Brad and I went to Colorado Springs. We did a seminar there. It's a great town.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's a really great town. A lot of people there. You know who's in Colorado Springs?
Somebody.
Oh, he's not there. Dave Black moved, didn't he? Dave Black used to live in Colorado Springs, but he was forced out of town.
I'm going to try to go shoot the fires.
By a group of angry National Geographic photographers. No, I forget why you moved. Anyway, hey, we're out of time. I don't know if you've mentioned or noticed Brad's beard, but if you haven't, go over to my Facebook page, facebook.com/skelby, and I have Brad's beard in various stages. It's going to be my 2-year project, is following Brad's beard as it grows. It has its own ecosystem. It has its own organic community growing. It's amazing. And
no, it's very clean. It's
cleanly it's not.
shaven.
No, it's very clean. It's very clean, but it's there's like a small family living in there.
That's why you're always taking pictures of me eating breakfast and actually feeding them.
Right. Brad says that's why you're always taking pictures of me eating breakfast. He's feeding the family that lives in his beard.
Got to.
Anyway.
All right.
Got anything else? Where can people learn more about you? MattK.com.
MattK.com. You're ScottK.com?
No, I'm ScottKelby.com. And I'm out of stuff.
Okay, I think it's time to go.
All right,
Hey,
wrap
big
it up.
thanks to Maggie, though.
Maggie was awesome.
And, we will be sure to let you know when her class goes live. Thanks for watching, everybody. Big thanks to the sponsors for sponsoring, and we will see you again next week. Bye.
Peace out.